Welcome back to the Brandon K Show. I am your host, as always, Brandon K, and this is a real show from my real studio here at my house. And today I have a very special guest. My brother Alan is going to be on the show, and we're going to talk about Comic Con over the years. We've been going to Comic Con over 20 years, almost every year. So we're going to talk about that right after I say that Brandon K Show is sponsored by Giftiply charity wrapping paper. It's a wrapping paper, great wrapping paper. 33% of the proceeds go to charity. Use promo code BK Show to get 25% off. Thank you, Giftiply, the gift wrap that gives back. This is my guest, Mr. First time appearance on the show, my actual brother, Alan.
Hey, everybody. Hello. Good to see you, Brandon.
Alan with the Pokemon shirt.
Who's your starter?
You know, one thing about Alan, my brother, is that he plays Pokemon Go every day.
That's pretty true. Every day.
The last 8 years.
2016. Crazy. Well, I played lots of Pokemon Go at Comic-Con, as a matter of fact. Comic-Con's a great place to play Pokemon Go. Lots of other players and raids. It's great for that.
Raids. What do they call them? Pokestops. They set up
stops.
They set up special Pokestops at Comic-Con, or?
I mean, they're not special. They would be there year round. There's probably a few that say San Diego Comic-Con, like a sign or something like that. But in general, they're pretty much there year round.
Yeah, I was looking through all the photos. We're going to have some video aspect today where I'm going to show videos of our years over the Comic-Con. But yeah, I found some Pokemon. They had the Pokemon on our shoulders.
Yeah, that was good. You can do the augmented reality, AR.
Reality, yep. So beyond that, Alan lived down in San Diego in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
And that was our first Comic-Con.
Yeah, I talk a little bit about that. Was a crazy. Well, it was an interesting year for us. So I lived down there until 2004. No, actually, 2003, 2004. But I think 2003 was our first year going. Yeah, 2000, and so I was living down there.
You had already been down there a couple years, but you hadn't heard about comic books.
And I'd always heard about it, and I collected comic books more like in the 90s. I kind of stopped for a while. The X-Men movies had come out in 2000. The Spider-Man movies came out in 2002. I started kind of like, ooh, comic books. Like, that's kind of a cool idea. And then the pop culture was kind of coming around because people were getting into those big movies. And so every year on the news, it would say, oh, Comic-Con's coming back this year. It was always in July. So me and you were just kind of like, hey, this would be kind of cool to check out. Like, what do you think about going there? And back then, it was crazy because it's totally different now, as many people know. We were like, yeah, let's go down. We'll just walk down there. We drove our car down. We parked somewhere. We probably had to park a little further away. We walked up, and there was just like a massive line to go buy your ticket. But it was like the Saturday or something of Comic-Con. And
this is for everybody who doesn't go to Comic-Con. So there's a giant convention center, and then the line to get a ticket was all the way around almost the whole convention center. We were on the back side of the convention center waiting in line to get a ticket. But even now, there's so many hundreds of thousands of people that you can't even do that. You have to get it online in advance.
You got to, and you don't even always get a chance. Like now, it's essentially a lottery. Back then, it's crazy to think that we just walked up day of Saturday, like, oh, let's just go check out Comic-Con. And we walked up, bought our, and it was pretty cheap back then too. It was like $25-$30 for the day. Nothing crazy. And we probably waited like an hour in that line, and then we got it, and I was like, I was blown away. I think it was my first convention ever. So I was like 24. You were what, like
18?
And so we walk in, and it was like, whoa, this is crazy. And it was just like a massive space, and it was pretty awesome to see.
I remember the first year. All I could really remember is, I think we might have only been there a day, maybe a day and a half at the most, but just there was a lot of like wheels and freebies, and I was just going around as much free stuff as I could, putting it in my bag. And
you got to look. Okay, so we'll go back to the storytelling, but just to kind of give everyone the idea, this is the example of a Comic-Con swag bag. So I think you can see it in straight. This one's an American Dad. This is from 2023 now, last year. But every year, and I think even back then they were giving these out in 2003. Maybe I have no idea if we have any of those early 2000 bags, but you get your big bag, and then I was given a bunch of, free stuff from another. Oh, there goes my camera. So this might be an issue here. Oh boy. Sorry, folks. Uh-oh. Okay.
Now these are some video. I'm going to show my videos real quick.
Yeah, you do that.
These are some videos from 2014 from the Vine era, where because when you go down to Comic-Con, many people think of everybody in costume. I don't think I've ever dressed up in costume. Alan hasn't dressed up in costume, but I do go around and harass the people in costume sometimes.
Nailed it. Nailed it. Found Waldo. Nailed it.
So there's Gambit.
Classic.
Here's me harassing Alan. Let's see.
This is you got the big sales
Robin.
pavilion there.
Goodly. Yo.
And then I had, of course, interviewing people at Comic-Con in 2023. 2012 on my YouTube channel. If anybody wants to go look, I would go down there and interview people back in 2012. That was fun.
Yeah, and our cousin Patrick, I don't think you dressed up this year, but I remember Patrick did his Captain America gag on a video. And he was a sea captain, and he had America pants on.
His America pants, and we asked people, what is he dressed as? There's that video on my channel.
Okay.
It's Comic-Con 2011.
But you weren't in a costume at all even that year.
I kind of feel like I will wear a costume someday, but I haven't yet.
I personally don't have any interest in wearing a costume. I like to just explore, and like people, when you dress in even the lamest costume, like you can be in, a Wolverine mask, and people will just stop you like every 10 feet and be like, oh, let me get a picture with you, and it's like that just seems like a lot.
Yeah, let's see. This is a really good one, actually.
Yeah, some people get really into it.
That is a Tusken Raider sand person.
Turtle.
That's a movie.
Brandon, I have a question for you, Brandon.
Yes.
What do you think is the most popular? What's the most? Which costume do you see the most at Comic-Con?
Captain Crunch.
Definitely Captain Crunch.
I like the random ones.
Well, yeah, but who's
probably?
What have you seen the most?
I mean, Superman. I don't know.
Superman? I think Spider-Man. Spider-Man's probably my answer.
Deadpool. Spider-Man and Deadpool.
Deadpool's very popular, and Spider-Man's always been popular. Deadpool, in the early mid 2000 range, it was not as popular, but that was
Chewbacca's running around.
Chewbacca. Star Wars is very popular. Star Trek not as popular. It's not really a Star Trek convention. That's kind of its own thing, but there is some Star Trek.
So so 2004, I don't have as many memories of that, but 2005 we saw Tenacious D play live.
Definitely. Now 2004, something you may not remember.
Such an old file. Oh, it's such an old file. I can't pull it up on the StreamYard, but
the Tenacious D, you had some.
We have a video of him singing, but yeah, go on.
I was gonna say 2004. You may not. We didn't go see this, but that was the year that the Lost pilot was played at Comic-Con. It was a very big deal. This new show is coming out, Lost,
right?
And they showed it. It wasn't even in Hall H. I think it was probably Ballroom 20. Maybe it was the first year of Hall H. I don't know. But it got a big reaction, and then I remember watching that show later that year. But then Lost became a big part of Comic-Con for quite a few years.
Well, yeah, back in 2004, like Alan said, the comic book movies, the Marvel Universe hadn't started yet. Superman didn't even have a movie till 2006, between the 70s and the 2006 version. Another tradition Alan and I started to do was like every summer when we're there, we go and watch a comic book movie.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they usually like to release one just about every year.
So not that we saw, I could say, well, 2006 was Superman Returns.
Okay. Oh, is that the one where he like lifts the asteroid up? Yeah.
Kryptonite, meteoroid, and Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor.
Yep, yeah. So it's 2006. I
2005,
don't.
2005 might have been X-Men 3,
That's
potentially.
true. That could
Potentially.
have been.
Um, and then, but yeah, down the line, and then more recent years, it's always MCU or.
Yeah, I remember. So my wife Jessica, who I don't know if the podcast knows much about her, but she might appear later on down the line. But she, when we first met, I took her to Comic-Con, and one of the movies we watched, I think you might have gone with us, was Captain America, the first one. I think it was the first one.
Year with Patrick. I think Patrick was with us, and that was his Captain America costume.
Oh, you think that was the same year? No, but okay. Well, yeah. So
Who knows? I don't know.
yeah,
2011. Yeah, 2011. Captain America, the first. Oh no, that the first Avenger, but Iron Man had already come out. But yeah, that was.
yes, Iron Man was already popular. We hadn't quite yet seen the Avengers, which that's another story. We can get into at some point, but because
Oh
you,
yeah. So Alan and I have gotten to see so many cool things. Comic Con is full of panels. You get to see celebrities doing all kinds of interviews,
Mhm.
and then we're there. We wait overnight sometimes in line. I sleep overnight. Um, let
Well,
me
hold
let
on.
me.
Let me interrupt. Let's tell this story a little bit. So Brandon is kind of his story is he was one of the initial people for some of the panels to start doing the overnight. So you can kind of, I mean, you remember for a lot, like people weren't waiting overnight for Lost that year you
Oh,
did it.
oh yeah. So now everything's overnight, but in 2009 was a big crucial year because we wanted to see the Lost panel. It had all the main stars from Lost and the writers from Lost. And I lined up in front is like the day before, like 3 p.m. I lined up right in front of the hall. And then they told me, like, oh, you got to wait over there. You don't wait here. So I was too close to the hall. So I got pushed back. And then I ended up being like 30th behind.
Right.
But
That was a little bit of a mishap.
there was a mishap. But
It wasn't as
anyways,
organized that year, that at
stayed
that
there
time.
all night, and Patrick met us, and Alan was there, and and uh, towards in the morning, the writers of the show, who were big stars to us, David Lindelof and Carlton Cuse, came and said hi to us, and we got pictures with them.
Yeah, that was very cool.
So that was a major moment, and then we got into the Lost panel. It was the final season, as it led to the final episode, and I got
Uh-huh.
to ask a question. I
Oh
got
yeah.
line and I asked a question about the final season to the Lost
Do you
Riders.
remember the question, or do you still have the video available?
The video is on YouTube somewhere.
It's
It's
on
like
YouTube,
part
yeah.
3 of the Comic Con panel. The
Sure.
question was about if we're gonna see more of their childhoods. I think
Interesting.
so.
That's
In
good.
the time travel season, the season 5 that we had just come off of, we saw a lot of their like them as kids almost, and that
Mm-hmm.
Jacob had been going back to watching them since they were kids. So I was asking like, oh, are we going to see any more kids as them as kids?
Oh, that's a good question. And wasn't there like a guy who looked like Hurley, or
Hurley got was like behind me, and then he
was
pretended
it?
to ask a question.
It was actual Hurley. It was like the guy.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I was kind of like separated from him. It was kind of like a surprise, but yeah, he was right behind me asking a question.
Classic.
So Lost was the best show ever. We can all agree
I think
on
I
that.
interrupted. So you were talking about waiting in line for something. Oh, you were going to talk about the Marvel panels and like how we've been to lots of
This
those.
was 2009, and like he said, like Alan said, 2009 was a major year because we started waiting in line. But after that, that was 2009. Iron Man was 2008, and then Hall H became like the thing to wait overnight for, and everybody would wait in line. And then in 2010,
I want to
no,
say 10. Yeah, I think it was 2010.
2010, this they brought out all the Avengers, and we
Yeah,
saw.
so the
We were
story
fairly,
was, what's that?
I think we were fairly close.
Yeah, we were. So we waited in line. I think we were waiting with Genesee. A big we were
Oh, we
waiting
lost.
for.
Hold on, we lost you for no reason. Go
Okay,
on.
you there?
Yeah.
So a big reason people were waiting that year was because there was a Harry Potter panel. So it was like the what's the studio that does Harry Potter? Like Warner Brothers, like Warner Brothers panel. And I think that might have been the same year they did like a big Justice League. No, it wasn't Justice League. That was a different thing. But they did Warner Brothers. They did Harry Potter, and we got all the way up into the front area, and we're like, well, we want to stay for the Marvel panel.
We saw the Avengers.
Yeah, so we were there, and we were sitting there, and they brought out Robert Downey Jr. They brought out Robert Downey. You can find it on YouTube. They brought out Robert Downey Jr. and then they said, "Hey, we got a big announcement. We're gonna have the." And I think Sam Jackson came out and then introduced them all.
This is we knew who the Avengers were gonna be, but even like we didn't know Mark Ruffalo was gonna be the Hulk, so
Right.
he was one of the additions for that. But like Hawkeye had been in he had been in Thor.
Right.
Jeremy Renner was already in Thor. We knew he was going to be on the Avengers, and then Scarlett Johansson was in Iron Man. We knew she was going to be in the Avengers, and then obviously Samuel L. Jackson as Fury, the leader of the Avengers, and then Tom Hiddleston.
Oh yeah, they brought out Loki and all that, and then it was just all unfolding right in front of us, and they were. I think there were rumblings like earlier. There's usually rumblings before these big things happen. There's rumors floating around, and I think this was, there was some Twitter things like that, but it wasn't a big. We weren't really following Twitter, seeing what was going on, and then just they made this big announcement for the Avengers. It was awesome.
So what I didn't get to show you was this is Alan waiting in line.
Everything's going great. But at least they have the idea.
Website in the back of the dude.
Moving forward.
So, Alan, you work. Well, anyways, point is that you don't like to see lines
There's a lot of gaps. They make a lot of gaps.
There's a lot of room for error when it comes to waiting in line for tickets, waiting in line for panels, and it gets frustrating because a lot of people can just jump right in front of you.
Yeah, there's a lot of snafus. Do you know what year that clip was from?
Either 2022 or 23.
Okay, so that was more recent. We had a big issue in 2019 where we were waiting in line. I think I got in line like at 1 or 2 p.m. the day before. They were going to give out the wristbands at 9 p.m. And then they started this thing on Reddit where people were line sharing. So, there was like 1,000 people in front of us, but really that was like 10,000 because each person is like holding a spot for 10 other friends that they just met through Reddit. And so we waited all night and then they said, "Oh, we're out of wristbands." So that was a big mess.
And even, because the topic of this episode was Comic-Con over the years. I don't know if I said that, but it'll be the title. So like in 2010, when we saw the Avengers, I don't even know if we had to stay overnight. Did we stay? We did stay overnight for that one.
There was a little bit of overnight staying by that year. It had become, but see, no, you know what it was? They would do like mornings. Like people, if you showed up at like 3 a.m. or 5 a.m., you were fine. You would get in. Like in 2010, that's why I kind of think like Genesee was there, and I think I had another friend, not Patrick Kling, but another friend who was there, and it was like, "Hey, like we'll meet up with you." They were kind of line holding, but we met up. But it was was like 6 a.m. You could just wander kind of up.
We got to be eternally grateful for the line holders, Genesee and Patrick, if they got us to see the Avengers. Because then I know that 2013, I waited in line to go see Breaking Bad cast, and which was awesome. And then 2015 was Star Wars panel.
Oh, that's a great story. You should tell that story.
I waited again overnight for the cast of Star Wars.
It would have been the 2015. So that was what was that movie? The Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. And my joke I made was like I was trying to avoid spoilers, but instead I just waited in line for I watched every single preview, and I sat in line outside of Comic-Con overnight to go see even a taste of that panel. But yeah, it was J.J. Abrams. They brought out an animatronic. Alan's wife Jessica joined me, and
Alan. They bring out BB-8.
I believe so. So. And Mark Hamill was there.
Ooh.
So we got to see him when they couldn't tell us anything about the movie. They showed us one animatronic and maybe BB-8 if we're lucky.
Yeah.
And we didn't know any of the characters who was going to be in the movie.
And they didn't bring any of them out either. You couldn't see who was Ray or anybody.
to be about. We kind of knew that Mark Hamill was going to be there. I forget if Carrie Fisher or Han was there, but I remember because they said they couldn't tell us anything about the movie, so they sent us over to go see an orchestra.
Yeah.
Down at the bay or whatever, at the, what is it called?
I know there's like Humphreys by the Bay. It might be that.
It's like this whole orchestra down,
or
and
something.
it was John Williams, I believe.
Yeah, they were kind of like, "Hey, does everybody want to go and see a concert down in the?"
So they moved the entire audience out.
Like 6,000 people.
For some reason, Alan couldn't join us for some reason.
Yeah, well, so I switched places with Jessica. I said, "Okay, you guys will go watch this one, and I'll come pop in the Kevin Smith panel afterwards." Because
Yeah.
I mean, I like Star Wars, but you guys are the big Star Wars fans, so you guys were watching it,
Yeah.
and it was like, "Oh, we're taking you to this concert," and I was like, "What? That's so cool!" And they walked you over. They gave you like lightsabers, and you got to enjoy a whole free concert, and you got escorted by stormtroopers. I don't know if you guys got to see the stormtroopers, but I think they escorted you with stormtroopers.
On the way over, we saw Mark Hamill like popping out his head out and waving and everything.
Nice.
So that was awesome. But Alan, was in the Kevin Smith panel. Like you could just walk right in after that because he exited the hall.
Yeah, and it was funny because he was telling it. We always like to go to the Kevin Smith panel. He's really funny, and he came out and he was like, "Well, I finally have had my worst nightmare has come true. I always have a nightmare that I'm going to show up and there's going to be no one in my panel." And like literally they had escorted everyone out, and it was just like, a few hundred people that wandered in. But he loved it. He thought it was like, because he loves Star Wars, so he was like, "I love this. This is great." And I think he took like a photo of like the empty hall, and that was funny.
And for some reason, he hasn't been coming as much, huh? Last year?
Well, it's been a weird couple years. So that brings us to, I guess, current day. So we had COVID year. So 2020 was COVID year. Which they canceled. So they canceled in the year of COVID. And then normally it would be in the summer every year. But in 2021, they finally were able to bring it back once all the regulations were lifted, and they did the special edition, which was a really scaled down version of Comic-Con. To be honest, pretty disappointing. It was not really any panel. I mean, there was maybe some panels, but no celebrities, no pop culture. It was a little light. Then 2022, it started to come back around. That was weird. Did it like know that I liked it based on my thumbs up?
I have no idea what goes on with this thing. Go on.
That was weird. Okay, so 2022 was a little bit more normal, but then 2023, and he might have been there. He was doing like Transformers stuff, so I don't know if he did a full panel. He might have done one in 2022, but 2023 was the writer's strike. So last year there was no press, no celebrities. It was a whole. So it was kind of.
We'll hope to see him back this year.
Yeah, I hope that with everything kind of finished with that. And then he also, I think he had some sort of a episode where he was either in a little institution or something.
He's gotten sober from his addictions.
Yeah, so he's been going through some things. So it'll be interesting to see. This next year, July, I think things will be mostly normal for Comic-Con, and maybe he'll be back.
So when we see you in these lines getting upset, what is your advice to the people at Comic-Con? If you could have some advice for line, what do you call it?
Line management?
Crowd control and line management, yeah.
Well, I mean, unfortunately. So, I mean, I get it. Like, the people working these lines are volunteers. And it's gotten crazier and crazier over the years. I just, it's not really advice, but I wish people would, respect the line, and they would understand that you can't just cut in line and like pay attention to what's going on.
This is just advice to the people: is respect.
Yeah, don't cut in front of other people. I'm not gonna, yes, seems like I was annoyed with that person who wasn't moving up fast enough, because the real advice I was trying to give in that situation, I don't know if it's good advice or what, but don't leave those big gaps, because that's when.
Did I capture that? Is that what you were actually telling them?
I don't know. I mean, that's my only assumption, is like, hey, if you don't move forward, then people are going to cut in front of you. And they do. They constantly just, I just wander up here. Because if you don't get the wristband overnight, then generally you have to not have a wristband. And then it gets kind of crazy. But
and then 2022, I would say, must have been, is where we waited in line and then got to see all of what was coming for Phase 4 of Marvel.
Yeah, that was a really cool one. And then that reminds me. So that was 2022, and then because 2023 we didn't wait in any. I didn't really wait for any of the Hall H panels last year because there wasn't really any to speak of. But yeah, so that would have been 2022. So then that was a cool one. We got in there. I forget if we got the wristbands. I forget. I think we did. I think Jessica waited in line that year, and we got the wristbands. So me and you got in there. We had to wait. You kind of.
They have wristbands with like 3 to 4 different sections, and then you're like, I don't even know if they're going to get to our section. There's so many people waiting.
Yeah, but they kind of guarantee you a spot if you have the wristband. But usually, the good thing for us is our panels are usually like way late at night. So if we're in by the first panel, then we're good. And then we kind of end up usually having to sit through some of the boring panels, anyways. But yeah, so they have a Kevin Feige.
Yearly tradition.
What's that?
It's our yearly tradition. We
Yeah.
our overnight stay. That's interesting. We didn't stay for anything last year. I would blame that on Disney pulls out. So Disney owns Star Wars and Marvel, and then they save their stuff for D23.
Well, it was just literally because of the writer's strike in 2023. They couldn't. They sometimes they will. They do save stuff for D23, but there was just no studios doing, like, all the studios pulled out last summer. But I was gonna say, we can share some more pictures here pretty soon. But I was gonna say, oh yeah, so they did. I think that was it Ant-Man? We got like the Ant-Man Quantumania. I think they brought out somebody from that.
Oh, what, for Phase 4? We got a whole like drum show for Black Panther
for Wakanda Forever,
and we got
really cool. Guardians, I think Guardians of the Galaxy. We got the trailer and they
got the trailer for Guardians. So we were pretty well informed for Phase 4 as it approached. They announced Blade. I don't know when that's going to come out, but they announced Blade. They Fantastic Four is in the pipeline. X-Men is in the pipeline.
Yo, that was the big announcement. So I mean, they're I think they kind of, I don't know if they gave dates, but yeah, they said, oh, Fantastic Four is coming first, and then X-Men, and that's always my favorite. Is I'm ready for.
And we have barely even had any reference to mutants in the MCU yet. There's been a couple. Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch were kind of known as mutants at some point. Yeah. But Alan, how do you think the X-Men should be introduced into the MCU?
Well, I think I'm a little curious what they're going to do with Deadpool. I like have you watched the trailer?
Oh, this is interesting. So the Deadpool is going to have Wolverine in it.
Right.
And from the Fox universe.
Right.
And Deadpool is now part of the MCU.
So have you watched the trailer?
No, I haven't watched the trailer.
You gotta watch it. So I'm not going to pull it up or anything, but I mean, we could watch it live and get your reaction. But
yeah, I think we should do that.
Okay, let's just do that because there's a key thing that we need to talk about that I don't really want to spoil for you.
Okay, hold on.
So, and in the meantime, so I'm very excited for the X-Men. They brought around the introduction of Miss Marvel as a mutant. That happened in her series. Can you share the screen?
I don't know if I'm allowed to. Am I allowed to show?
Oh, okay. All right. We're gonna watch you watching it. That's fine. Why don't you go just you on the screen?
Okay.
I'm the luckiest man alive.
Okay, there we go. This is Brandon's reaction. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay, Brandon's reaction to the.
Wade Wilson? Who's asking?
I don't know. This is weird. I don't know.
You might not be having the right one. Make sure it's the official one.
Hold on.
There's an AI version that's not correct.
Well, it's him and it's like Ryan Reynolds and he's all like he doesn't have his mask on or anything and they're coming to his door to visit him?
Yes, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, so I'm just like, why is he? I guess that's because he's kind of retired and he's just like doesn't have his mask on.
You keep watching, you'll find out.
Make a wish, buddy. Wade Wilson? Who's asking? Whoa. Is that supposed to be scary? Pegging isn't new for me, friendo, but it is for Disney.
Oh, he's getting pulled back into like another dimension, maybe?
Wilson. You appear to have soiled yourself while unconscious. I wasn't unconscious. Who are you? Why am I here? Walk with me. Wait. You are special. This is your chance to be a hero among heroes.
Okay, TVA. That's the
I smell what
Loki.
you're stepping in, Sensei.
Oh, pulling him into the
Your
MCU.
little cinematic universe is about to change forever.
Whoa.
I'm the Messiah. I am Marvel Jesus.
Another movie that comes out in July.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves a happy ending. There he is. The movie's called Deadpool and Wolverine.
Don't just stand there, you ape. Give me a hand up. No, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So what I'll say is that you asked kind of what I'd like to see, and so I remember someone kind of making the storyline where what Deadpool should do in his movie is he should be sitting at a computer, and he would be like copying and pasting like the good things from the Fox universe. He'd be like, okay, we want, this Professor X, we want Wolverine, we want, but what they're essentially doing, it's not necessarily that, but they're going to do it through the TVA. So he's in the TVA, he can kill off certain parts of the Fox world and bring in what he wants into the MCU timeline.
Whoa, this is crazy, man.
So I'd like now.
Not caught up on Loki season 2 either, so I'm a little.
Oh yeah, you got to get caught up on that. I mean, that really doesn't tie that much into it. I mean, there's a lot of multiverse talk, things like that.
Well, now we had the whole Kang getting thrown out of the MCU.
Yeah, but essentially, what I would like to see is what I'm afraid of is that they'll do this thing with the TVA, and then maybe it's not really legitimate to the MCU. But I think it is. I feel like it's going to be. But because he's a little more jokey, so it's like, is it really going to be canon, or what are they going to do exactly?
Well, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I mean, it's cool. He's going to come back because he's in this movie, right? Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, he's definitely in this movie.
He said he was never back after Logan. He's
right.
back.
Oh, and you heard the new rumor?
What's the rumor?
So he says that he would do Secret Wars if he can work with Tobey Maguire and Robert Downey Jr.
Whoa.
So that would be like the trifecta of like the 2000s era, superheroes all working together.
Well, Robert Downey Jr. also kind of says he's never going to come back, but he might in the right circumstances.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is Wolverine or Hugh Jackman said he might not do anything past Deadpool, but now he's like, oh, I'm open to it if like this happens. So
Robert Downey Jr. Was on Joe Rogan talking about it, and he's like, wouldn't you feel ripped off if they killed me off and then I just come back through a time portal,
Yeah, I mean, speaking as a comic book fan, I mean, me and Brandon were discussing it the other day, which is they're kind of revamping the X-Men in the comics, and they've killed off Professor X, Colossus, and Wolverine, but they've all come back, and they're kind of all going back to their origins.
And that's Joe Rogan. I said they always come back, and that's what Joe Rogan said to Robert Downey immediately. He was like, paint the picture. He's like, imagine, they make a couple crappy Avengers movies, and then 10 years down the line, you come through a portal and save the whole day, and everybody will love it.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I'm pretty excited for Deadpool. We should also mention, I think you've seen the Marvels, right?
No, I have not seen the Marvels.
You gotta watch that too. You don't know
I don't know anything.
You don't know anything about. Okay, well, you gotta watch that. So there's definitely some hints out there. So I'm very excited. I love the X-Men. I love the. What's that?
You want to spoil it for me right now?
No, I'm not gonna spoil it.
Why not?
You gotta watch it.
We can give a spoiler alert, and I'll just hear it.
No, you gotta watch it yourself.
Okay.
The people who know, and you gotta see it for yourself. You gotta go to your homework.
All right. Well, so that was fun. Deadpool and Wolverine. They're not versus each other. Alan and I were going through our comic books, and I think we're gonna get together tomorrow and we're gonna go show everybody how our comic books are for sale.
Yeah, we'll definitely have some comics for sale. That'll be exciting.
We'll
got
go
some good stuff.
Go through them and show them all these comics I have here for sale. But I was gonna say too something about that. Oh, that we were going through comics and we saw that the Avengers and the X-Men, they had a big fight in the comic books, a whole comic series of them fighting.
Crossover. Avengers versus X-Men.
We looked it up. It had something to do with the Dark Phoenix, that they started to fight over whether she was going to be the savior or not the savior. The X-Men, some of the X-Men thought that she was going to be the savior, and then the Avengers had to come and stop them because things were getting too crazy. Yeah. So what I want to see in the Marvel universe is the X-Men versus the Avengers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the next big thing that everybody's kind of talked about. It's a little difficult considering that the original Avengers are kind of like tailing off, and it wouldn't necessarily be exactly the same, but it still could. I mean, if you had, Falcon as Captain America, what's his name? Not the actor, but the character who plays Falcon.
Anthony
Mackie. Is that the character? Not the yeah. So you have him as the Captain America. You could have Hawkeye, kind of old Hawkeye. You could have theoretically, because Spider-Man really wasn't involved with Avengers versus X-Men, so he wouldn't really be in there.
Exactly like the comics, but they're gonna make it to the best of their ability. I did go
Doctor Strange.
I did go and see Madam Web.
Okay, what's your review there?
I thought it was awesome because I like deja vu stuff, and it's kind of like crossing paths, and she can see the future and stuff. So there was a lot of cool stuff there. I will say I did fall asleep halfway through.
Oh no.
I did miss a portion of it, and it's interesting how like even the actors are saying like, "Oh, it wasn't that good of a movie,"
Yeah, well, I saw some of the action scenes, and it seemed like the CGI was like bad. Like they had this scene where like this guy is like getting hit by a truck, and it was just like they really half-assed it.
I fell asleep for all that part, anyways.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
I got the main story of the movie. I even woke up after the action scenes, and I was like, I saw how it wrapped up, and then I waited around for something cool to happen, and then there wasn't any like preview for the movie or anything.
No, it's like it's only. Well, a friend of mine was watching it, and I think his review was that it's better than like the second Venom. That was kind of his takeaway, is that it's as good as a weird. Who knew that Venom 2 even existed? I mean,
I watched that on a plane. It was I think it was Woody Harrelson as Carnage.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they had Carnage in there.
I saw it. It was interesting.
Carnage.
But yeah, those movies, they're never as good as how we imagine them to be.
Yeah.
I mean, Marvel Universe does make them as good, like better than the comics, and then some comics try to be like the comics, and then they kind of fall short.
Yeah, it's true. So I have a couple more things to chat about. I mean, I guess we have more pictures we could show too.
We're out of pictures. Go on.
Oh, well, what about the ones I sent you?
No, I can't. I can only do videos.
Only videos. Okay, so no pictures.
Did I show this?
No. Jeffery Giraffe. Okay, so then the two things I want to talk about, I have a couple items I wanted to show. So, but then the other thing I was going to ask you, because the other big part of Comic-Con is kind of going around buying stuff. So, what's like your favorite thing you ever bought at Comic-Con?
It's kind of springing this on me. I'll show you one thing.
You don't have to show. I mean, it's cool that you have something to show, but I just meant like something.
I like nowadays. Hold on. Nowadays, because I want to write my own comics, I go around and I buy like the comics that like random people's comics. I like to go to these are just like people just who write comics and put them out. So this is like the second shift. I guess these are all just second shift comics. But I went around last year and I bought a bunch of just random comics from people who haven't hit it big yet.
Nice.
So this
Yeah,
is
that's a
like,
good.
I haven't read these yet, but like this is like the ideas is like these like the second shift, like these are like the not the main heroes, but like the next
Right.
level of heroes, you know.
I like that. That's fun.
I had more all around here too. I was looking for, but let me think if there was anything.
Cool.
Oh, I was gonna pull this out too, but man, I have it on my computer too. I have a picture. The Cyanide and Happiness guys. They drew me.
Oh
as
yeah.
I like
Oh,
that.
that's cool.
That one was really cool. And then I got John Kay from Ren and Stimpy to draw me
Oh
Mr.
yeah. Yeah,
That was,
that touches on. This isn't my favorite thing I purchased, but one thing that's cool about Comic-Con is you can get autographs from people. And sometimes I don't think I've ever paid for an autograph, but sometimes you can pay for them. You get a wristband. But you met Kenny Baker.
Kenny Baker.
We
The
got
R2D tour before he passed away, and I probably did pay for that $20 or something.
yeah, that one was probably a pay one.
Mr. Kenny Baker signed a picture of himself to me.
I have an autograph of Sean Astin somewhere. We walked up and
That was
Sean.
like 2004 too.
Yeah, that was a good one. And then this one is a one. It's you won't be able to see the autographs necessarily, but this is from the 40th Comic Con. So this is 2009.
Okay.
2009, and this was when Big Bang Theory must have been around for a few years, and Big Bang Theory was a pretty big staple starting in like 2005, and they'd come every year, and they went down to the show floor, and they were all sitting there, and you could walk up, and I had all the cast basically sign my program guide here. So I've got, I think I saw like this one here, you can kind of see is Chuck Lorre. Chuck Lorre's there, and I think this is Jim Parsons up here.
Prized possession right there.
Yeah, this is cool. I need to get it like, a little bit more framed, and
I think I saw that on eBay.
yeah, it's very possible there. I'm sure because there's a lot of people that walked up there. So that was one of my cool. Oh, and then I know we saw Brent Spiner, who was not Data. Is he Data?
He's Data, yeah.
Data, yeah, we saw him. We didn't get his autograph, but we would see him walking around.
I have a picture of you standing in front of George Takei.
Oh, George Takei, yeah, that's always good.
I was just trying to remember some other stuff too, but we might have to talk about it next time because I got to go to work right now.
Yeah, so this is a good time to wrap up, and I think that we had a good conversation. So
there's a bunch more I have to say. John Kay signings, Kenny Baker. Yeah, but thank you for joining me, Alan. We're gonna get together. Alan and I are getting into the comic book selling business. So we got comic books for sale. And we're gonna go and we're gonna show you what comic books we have for sale, and you let us know. Anybody watching right now, let me know if you're in the market for comic books.
Yeah,
we found some good hits. Like you'd be surprised. You go buy an old box of comics, and how much of them are worth $10? How many of them are a key issue that might have a character? We actually found the first issue of The Winter Soldier.
Yeah, that's a cool find. And then we found that those Transformers comics, if anybody's into Transformers, we have some like classic rare Transformers comics that we'll probably be selling.
So if you ever get a chance to buy some comics, like there's some good ones in there. There's like all these characters that have become major players. They all had first issues, and those are worth something. So.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Well, yeah, good chatting with you, man.
Good chatting with you. Remember, I don't know if you want anybody to follow you anywhere.
No, I don't really have anything to plug as far as that goes.
But remember to be kind in line at Comic-Con. That's
yes.
That's Alan's main
Be
message.
kind. Don't cut in front of people. Not cool.
And Brandon Kay's show is every day in March. Alan will be on the show again tomorrow. So thank you for watching. I'm going to end it here.